At this session, we're going to model this restaurant, the interior design as you can see. But as usual, let's take a look on the pictures. As you can see, we got a surface at the roof. Then we got these even on the columns. Following that, for the other parts, contour command is involved. And the curves are cut in layers and then extruded. Let us analyze the pictures. And here we got the plan view. We're gonna use the plan view and also the front view as you can see. And as usual, I want to import the plan view into Rhino. And then according to the dimensions, we can see in the plan view, for example, according to the threads of the stairs, we can scale the plan view, and also the front view or the section view that is going to be imported to Rhino perpendicular to the plan view. That, as you can see, I have already imported them, and I have considered 30 centimeters for the 3 threads of the stairs, and I have scaled the plan view based on the dimensions of the threads. And the section view is positioned perpendicular to the plan view, and then I have increased the transparency from material as you can see, so we can have them transparent. And then in the continuation, we're gonna start with the curves of the roof. So to do this, here at the front viewport, interpolate curve, and then I start drawing these curves. I draw the curves like this way. Following that, we can revise them by editing the control points to make them more precise. Check it out. Like this way, at each part, I place a control point, and even if more control points were needed, we can add them later. I select the point, and then I move the control points like this way. And then by moving the control points, we can control the continuity or the curveness and make them close to the picture. Then at the perspective view, I select one of the curves and then position it there, and I locate the other ones, as you can see. Then at the top view, then I draw a curve or a line like this to specify the boundaries of the needed parts of the plan view, since I want to trim the other parts. So after specifying the boundaries, I start trim. I delete the extra parts like this way, and then I can turn off reference layer. Then at the perspective view, following that, we're going to revise the control points and then control the continuity. I select these 3 points and then I use scale, and then I make them close to each other along z-axis. And also these 2 control points, check it out. Well done. Then at the next step, I draw some curves to connect the 2 ends of these 2 curves. Then I select the new created curves, then by rebuild, and then I specify 5 for the point count and 3 for the degrees, and I check delete input to delete the inputs. Okay. Then by pressing down F10, I show the control points, and then I move some of them to revise the continuity. Check it out. And then at the other part, watch this, I move the control points like this way to consider the waves of the roof. Check it out. So guys, we have drawn the curves approximately. Then by using network surface and then selecting these curves, I create the plane surface. Check it out. I select the plane or surface, and then I change the object layer. For example, layer 01, and then I rename the layer SRF or surface. And even we can rename the default layer and then name it CRV as curves. Then I turn on the references. After that, in the reference layer, we don't need the section view, so we turn it off. And I also turn off the surface. Then at the top view, check this out. Then for the columns, check it out in the picture. We got 1, 2, and 2 other columns. However, they are not well recognized, but according to the picture and plan view, we should draw them. Here we got 3 columns, and the storeroom, as you can see here, which is related to actually this part, as you can see. So for modeling this part, I'm gonna use the rectangle. Check it out, and then draw the rectangle. Following that, we have to rebuild it for modifying the corners. But even here, we can use the deformable ellipse or ellipse deformable, like this way, from the center, like this. Then at this part, from the center, I add another ellipse. Following that, I want to make the control points aligned, so we can select them, and then you can use set point command, by which you can align the specified objects at the specified direction. For example, I select these points, and then here I can specify in a specific direction or axis, and then make the selected control point aligned at the specified axis. For example, I want to make them aligned along y-axis, or even we can work on another method that we can make them aligned without using the set point by clicking on scale arrow. Here I click at this point, and then I import 0. Here, as you can see, they are aligned along x-axis. Following that, for the other parts, I select them, then I import 0 to make them aligned along x-axis. I move them downwards, and also for the lateral parts or edges, I click and then I import 0. Great. So as we knew that we could use -1 in a scale instead of using mirror, right now we learned that we can select a set of control points and then import 0. We can have the selected control points aligned at the specified axis, like X or Y. Check it out by this way. Then at the next step, here at the top view again, I select the curve, I hold down Alt and Shift, I minimize it and create a copy. One more copy at this size, and then the last one, I maximize it. Well done. Following that, I hold down Alt and Shift, holding down Alt and Shift buttons and creating copies. And then I can create some other copies from these 3 curves, or even deleting the middle curve. But I copy, and then I place them for other columns. One more copy. Look, but I should rotate it at 90 degrees. Check it out, and then position it. And scaled. Well done. So guys, up to now, we have drawn some curves for the roof, columns, and also the storeroom. I turn on the surface like this way, then I select the exterior curves for the columns and the storeroom. Then at the top view I start trim command, and then I select the surface to trim the surface at these parts. Check it out at the perspective view. We have splitted or trimmed the surface by using the exterior curves. Then I create a copy from these 3 curves and also the surface. Since I'm gonna explain a topic for you, here we're going to create a surface at this part, which is going to be started from the surface smoothly and then reach to the ground. Here I'm gonna use different kinds of methods, and then we're gonna choose one of the methods for moving the process forward. So for instance, I select the exterior curve and then I move it upwards, and then I start loft command. I select specified. So we model the base of the column. Then again, I create another copy from these. Then the first method that we're gonna go through for completing the process is using loft command. So I select the edge surface and also the edge surface of the another part for the opening. Then at the top view, then I want to adjust the seam points. Look, I align the seam points totally similar to the previous explanations about loft. We press down enter, and then I check match start tangent and also match end tangent. And here, as you can see, as we check match end and start tangent, we can control the continuity at where the two surfaces connect to each other, while if I uncheck match start and end tangent, then the two curves or surfaces will be considered individually or separately, so that the lofted surface maintains tangency with the adjacent surface at both start and end by checking match start and end tangent. So the first method is using loft and then maintaining the tangency with the adjacent surface. And the next method that we're going to talk about, again, let me create a copy from these for the third method, but here we're gonna use sweep to rail at the second method or approach. So by using interpolate curve, I draw the curve like this way to consider it as the cross-section curve. Then I select the control points to revise them like this way, however it is not needed. And then sweep to rail. Then I select the surface edges as the rails and then the cross-section curve. Okay. Then in edge continuity, we can adjust the grades of the continuities. We can set it to tangency for both A and B. As you can see, you can control the edge continuity and also the cross-section. But I'm gonna give you an explanation about how it changes the edges and the cross-section. That this was the second approach that we used, sweep to rail. I create a copy. Following that, here I wanna draw a curve here like this way from the midpoint to the another midpoint. Then I start extract isocurves. Then I specify the surface, I specify the direction V, and then I draw the curve, the isocurve. Following that, and the another surface, I toggle the direction U by this way. And then I select the created curves here. Finally, I match them with each other. And then for the continuity, I set them to tangency as we specified the other surfaces to tangency. Well done. Again, match curve. I select the another end to match it with the other end of the curve, and I set it to tangency. So guys, here as you can see, before starting sweep command, we can adjust the tangency, the continuity of the curve or the cross-section curve. Following that, we can start sweep to rail and then creating the surface. This time, if I set A and B to position grid of edge continuity, it can meet our needs. Okay, so we can consider this as the another method or approach, but I delete it, and I'm going to introduce you the last approach, which is using blend surface. And as you remember, in the previous sessions, we could have used blend curve for blending two curves at the specified continuity according to the input objects. But here we got blend surface as well, that I can select this surface edge and the other surface edge to blend them with each other. So at the top view, and then I adjust the seam points like this. I make them aligned with each other like this way, and then following that I press down enter. Here as you can see, it has created such a surface that you can use these two sliders to adjust the continuity for first and end, as you can see. For example, I adjust them like this way. Check it out. Following that, I click on OK to save the changes. Check it out at the render viewport. And as you can see, we could have modeled it even by using blend surface successfully. Then I select all of these and then I change the object layer and then I turn them off so that you can have them for your practices. And then back to the project. Here I select these and I can minimize them by scale, and I revise some of the control points. I move it upwards, and then the column, I select these three curves and then I move them upwards equally. Following that, by left I start it, then I specify the closed curves to create the surface. By this way I move on. So guys, we specify the surfaces through the loft command, and then I select the curves, Ctrl H to hide them, and then by using blend surface I blend the edge surfaces. But note that before pressing enter, open the top view and then adjust the seam points properly to make them aligned, and then press enter and then blend the surfaces. And then I move the sliders to control the continuity of the blended surface, like this way. However, I could have moved the curve or the edge surface upwards, but no matter, I can move the other ones. I hold down Ctrl and Shift and then I move the top edges. Check it out. I extend the columns, then blend surface, then I blend the edge surfaces. Check it out. At the top view, then I adjust the seam points and then make them aligned. Check it out by click and drag. Well done. And following that, by pressing enter, let me try again. I should adjust the seam points by this way, and then we should fix them, and then I set them to tangency or grade 2. Watch this. We can control the continuity. However, for increasing the quality of the results is that you can open the top view like this way and then select the curves, Ctrl Alt H to show the curves. Check it out. And then even we can maximize the curves of the columns. So I select them and then I isolate them by this way, and then maximize by scale by this way. Maximized. Right now they are better. I show the other objects. Following that, I want to trim the surface by these new curves. Check it out. Since I have changed the size of the curves, then I set them to shaded mode, and then I start blend surface command. Then I choose the surface edges like this way. I adjust the seam points, they are well adjusted, and then enter. Then I set them to tangency, grade of continuity. Then you can use the slider for controlling the edge continuity. Check it out. Well done. For the others, I select the edge surfaces and then blend surface, adjusting the seam points, and then moving the slider to control the edge continuity. Check it out. Well done. And the last one, or the last column, by this way. As usual, let me adjust the seam points. at the perspective view by this way, and then by this way. Great, we're done. So guys, we've done the project up to this point. We have created the columns and also the surface. Cell curve to select the curves. I hide them. Then I join the surfaces with each other. Check it out. Then in the continuation, we should cap the top face or fill the openings, and also we got something to do with the base part because we're going to use contour command for creating such a roof. We want to create these layers and then extrude them. So I select the surfaces, then I use cap to fill the openings at base and top, and for the top part, and then for the top parts for filling the openings here at the top view. Then I start playing command. I click on project to enable it, and then I start from the intersection or corner. I draw a surface like this by this way. Check it out. I select the surface, then I turn on the section view. Following that, at the front view, I move the surface upward. Check this out, like this way. Following that, I start edge surface, and then I create some faces at the lateral sides by this way, and then I select them and then Ctrl J to join the surfaces. Right now we got a poly surface. I turn off the isocurves. Then in the continuation I want to measure the dimension in the plan view, and then we can hide it. Distance to measure the distance, and then I want to measure the distance between the two contour curves like this way, which is 0.08 per meter. And if I measure again, nearly 14 centimeters, and the thickness of each of the panels is 5 centimeters. So I select the object and then I start contour. I enable project, then here I specify the direction of the contour, and then the distance 15 centimeters. Wait for a second. Great. Here the contour curves are created. I change the object layers, and then I turn off the previous layer, and then I select them. Then by using extrude curve, check this out. At 0.05, I extrude them at the length of 5 centimeters, as you can see. Then at the top view, I start cell curve command to select the curves, and then I change the object layer, and then I turn them off. So guys, by this way we managed to create the general parts of the restaurant. And in order to move the process forward and have more progress, let me see. I wanna change the object layers and then turn them off. Shaded display mode, and then I hide the main object by using Ctrl H like this way. Following that, at the plan view, I pick the polyline, and then I'm gonna start from here to draw the boundary curves by holding down Shift to restrict the direction. Check this out, and the other parts. Well done. Look, I extend it to the, here we can use smart track. Look, and then like this way. Well done. Ctrl Shift H to show the objects. I select the surface, and then I want to move the selected curve upwards. So here I can use offset to control the thickness of the wall Following that, we can use extrude curve, or even we can use slab, which was the mixture of offset and extrude for creating the walls. For example, 0.18 for the distance, or 0.2, and then I extrude the curves, check it out, to consider them as the walls. Look, and then here I can minimize the plan in order to adjust it exactly under the roof. However, we can keep going and move on like this without adjusting the size. Again, a slab, and then I move them upwards. Look. And the next part that I'm gonna explain for you is creating these windows. So I wanna set the construction plane to the object onto this wall, and then I'm gonna draw the windows on the wall. So at this part I draw a rectangle, for example like this, at this size, or even we can minimize it. Look, I select it, then at the top view, and then I create some copies. I hold down Alt, and then I make duplicates at the desired number. Then I can select all of them. Then at the perspective view, check it out. Then I return the construction plane to its default mode. Then by using make hole, to make some holes on the wall by this way. We're done with the windows. And then for modeling the interior parts of the restaurant and also chairs or the furnitures, we can begin modeling them from scratch, or even we can use the prepared models and then import them into Rhino, that you will be given these prepared models and then locate them in the scene. But all in all, as we were supposed to model the general object, we do not put time on the details, and we have created the walls to specify the boundaries. However, if you were interested, you can put more time, especially on details like the furnitures, chairs and tables, in order to challenge your skills. And even you can share the pictures of your projects with us. And if you got any questions, you can ask us. And at last, I wish you luck.